So Season 2 of Arcane just came out, and I've already played Jinx and Vi, so now it's time to play Caitlyn. So for the next week, I'm gonna learn Caitlyn in 3 steps. First, play some normal games, second, do some research, and third, play some ranked games. I'm doing this because I'm trying to learn every champion so one day I can make the greatest Viego video ever. So what runes and items do you go on Caitlyn? The most popular rune on Caitlyn right now is First Strike. It's easy to activate with your long range, but I personally liked Lethal Tempo a lot more. As for your items, you have 2 main choices, crit and lethality. I liked the crit build a lot more because it just fit my playstyle better like Lethal Tempo did. However, if you want to focus more on poke with your Q and ult, the lethality build with First Strike is amazing. And your final items are usually something like Bloodthirster, Rapid Fire Cannon, Mercurial Scimitar, and the new Yuntal Wild Arrows. And with that, on to some normal games. One of the main reasons I wanted to play Caitlyn is because she's an extremely powerful and simple AD carry right now. And you can probably tell by my traps and terrible movement that I suck at AD carry. Actually, I just realized that I didn't place any traps during this fight, which is pretty embarrassing. But who needs to play well when you can just steal kills with your ult? But yeah, usually normal games boost my confidence, but that was not the case with Caitlyn because I was clearly just not an AD carry player. It was so bad it actually sparked my biggest idea ever, 100 hours of learning AD carry, but for now I was just learning Caitlyn. And let me tell you, things did not get better in my next normal games. I'm under tower is crazy. Not only was I playing bad, but I also got a taste of the true AD carry experience. Holy shit, there's a lot of people. You see, I come from a top lane background where I played mostly bruisers and tanks, so I'm just not used to, you know, actually getting punished for bad positioning. Are you fucking kidding me? I knew there was like a 4th caster minion. I was like, that's weird. And oh yeah, split pushing isn't really an AD carry thing either. Honestly, watching back these replays was pretty rough. I mean, I don't think I landed a single trap for my first hour. And I still had this bad habit of thinking I was a tank leading my team into battle, when I definitely should just be in the backline. I'm just dead. And even though I definitely wasn't playing great, I did still have some great moments. But I will admit, even though it was still bad, I was making progress with Caitlyn. Like, my traps were still slow and my positioning needed some work, but at least I had the idea of what I was supposed to do and was playing at least decently in fights now. And trust me, I also know how bad I am at this role, so you don't need to type anything in the comments, okay? I'm so bad at this role! But hey, even if I suck at this role, a good support can even make me look good sometimes. Also, tell me this Caitlyn combo isn't broken. I mean, I messed up the last auto attack here, but she still died from full HP with like no counterplay. So after a full day of normals, I decided I was ready for ranked, and to my surprise, I actually did a lot better than I thought I would. Okay, we're fucking huge. And even though I wasn't the best Caitlyn player in the world, I was clearly more comfortable with the champion and wasn't panicking as much in fights. That being said, I still have a lot of issues with AD carry, like thinking I'm safe over a wall during a team fight. Thinking that just because I'm recalling with support, I'm totally safe. I'm the worst AD carry in the game! Trying to fight alone because I thought that having more HP actually matters on an AD carry. Dying on my way to fights because we have no vision and even a level 11 support Camille can 1v1 me. And most embarrassingly, hearing a trap go off and thinking, oh shit, I gotta headshot someone, just to die because I ruined my positioning. Luckily, Caitlyn's laning phase is super strong because of her high damage, long range, and her headshot passive for trades. Caitlyn's strong early game did make me play a little too aggressive sometimes, but for the most part, it really helped make up for the lack of experience I had on AD carry. And with my surprisingly good laning phases, I was actually able to do some decent damage in the late game, which meant I was actually winning some ranked games. I also got another taste of the AD carry experience when I had one of my best games yet, and I was landing most of my traps. Dude, I locked in there. I went so quiet, I was like, I'm not fucking this up. Just to feel useless without a team to fight with me. And then lose. But then I would also have a game where I would do absolutely nothing. Actually, less than nothing. My team probably would have been better off without me giving the enemy team free gold, just for my super fed mid laner to kill their super fed AD carry in the last fight. And then I would just win the game without doing anything. Anyway, I was having a lot of fun with Caitlyn's early game. I was winning every lane and it wasn't even close. And And I was also improving at her trap placement, speed, and target selection like ulting Sivir right before she went out of vision. Not to mention I was getting better at doing consistent damage with Caitlyn. I mean, watch me 100-0 this poor Lulu. I mean, seriously, this poor Lulu. What are you doing? Or not with an ult, even with your shield. I also learned that sometimes the AD carry's role is to bait for the real carries, like my support Lux, I guess. But some things never change, no matter what role you're playing.
A summoner has disconnected.
What the fuck? Well played, Lulu. And I'm sure at this point you're wondering, hey, Ecor, when are you gonna have an actual good game? This video is getting kind of boring. Well, do I have a game for you? Oh, she's dead. You didn't need to flash over the wall. Thank you. Happy? Anyway, after these games, I realized Caitlyn is a lot harder than I thought. So I did some research on YouTube and here's what I found. 1. Stack up your headshots before you fight. Farm a wave mid lane or something so you have the extra burst right when a fight starts. 2. In fights, you gotta think auto, place a trap. Auto, place a trap. Caitlyn doesn't have the most attack speed, so if you can do this fast enough, you shouldn't actually miss any auto attacks. And 3. So here are the main things I learned about Caitlyn during my research. The first is where to put your traps. Well, first you want to put it at the edges of bushes so the enemy has the least amount of time to react, but you want to think about their optimal pathing. If I'm the enemy and I'm running to Dragon Pit, my optimal pathing will take me right over this trap. Same thing if they're coming from this direction. They're running towards Dragon Pit, they run over this trap. You can also do it for any bush you want. They want to come to Dragon Pit from this direction, they walk over that trap, and you can basically test any angle you want in the game. Next is if you actually land your trap, the combo is Q auto, E auto. The reason why you want to Q first is because if you auto first, they're no longer snared by the time your Q comes out, which means they can dash away and dodge it. Next is your bread and butter combo in lane is going to just be EQ auto. The animation cancel of your E and Q basically allow them to come out really, really quickly. And you can use this both aggressively by walking up and going EQ auto, or if the enemy's chasing you, run away. EQ auto to give yourself some distance and do a bunch of damage. Anyway, on to some more ranked games. And I will say, knowing how to play Caitlyn did make me more confident, even if I wasn't playing her correctly right away. Oh yeah, another thing I learned is that Caitlyn's E can be interrupted by pretty much every CC ability in the game, so just be aware of that if you're trying to escape. But honestly, even though I was making a lot of mistakes still, I do think I was getting the hang of Caitlyn, even if my results weren't always what I wanted. And one final thing that was harder than I thought was queuing first when I hit a trap. A lot of the times my instincts would just tell me to auto-attack the person immediately, which would cost me some kills sometimes. And like I said earlier, I still had a terrible habit of trying to auto-attack people when they stepped on a trap, even if it ruined my positioning and got me killed. But despite my mistakes, I was still getting better at Caitlyn, especially in the early game. As long as my support stepped up, we were usually winning these early fights. I mean, seriously, pretty much every early game fight I was winning, whether it was slowly poking them out of lane or killing them immediately during the first or second wave. I just seemed to have a hard time keeping the lead. This was probably due to not being experienced with AD carry as a whole, like usually a top lane champion wouldn't die in this situation. But one thing most top laners can't do is kill the enemy from off the screen, which was pretty cool. Yeah, collector! Oh yeah, and another Caitlyn special is using your trap when the enemy uses Zhonya's hourglass. Like this poor Kai'Sa literally was just delaying the inevitable when she pressed her golden button. I actually don't think I'm that bad at AD carry. And of course, there were always those games that were just out of my control completely. Yep, okay, report. But I will say I shouldn't give up during games like this. The whole point is to learn Caitlyn, so giving up is just a waste of time. Like, sure, we probably were gonna lose anyway, but practicing positioning and fighting is still important for future games, you know? But out of nowhere, things just started to click for me with Caitlyn. Like, my positioning still needed a bit of work, but after 10 hours of messing up, I was actually starting to feel comfortable on Caitlyn, and my combos were getting a lot smoother. And my trap placement was also improving. Again, I still messed up quite a bit, but I was reading my opponent's movements and playing around my team CC way better. I don't really know how to describe it, but when I woke up on the 5th day, I just started playing so well. Holy shit, I'm trolling. It's like that scene from The Karate Kid when Daniel realizes he actually learned karate even though he didn't know he knew it at the time. Like, this whole challenge, I thought I was wasting my time not learning anything on Caitlyn, when actually I had been learning her the whole time, even though I didn't see the results at the very start. And I just started winning game after game after game after game, even if I did still have some silly deaths sometimes. No! Oh my god, I was reading chat. And some really dumb deaths because I got overconfident after getting a lead in the early game. And that's probably one of the hardest parts about AD carry in general. It just seems so much easier to throw your lead than any other role. And maybe part of the reason that I was doing well today was because I just wasn't making as many of those dumb mistakes as I was in the beginning. And it was during these final days where I went from understanding Caitlyn to getting good at Caitlyn. Like, my traps were actually getting pretty good, and I was also just a lot more comfortable with my movement. And this recent success made me feel even more confident, which would sometimes make me make some overconfident plays going for more kills. But my goodness, the headshots and base damage on Caitlyn's Q is some of the most insane shit early game. Like, it doesn't matter who I am with or who I'm against, I'm almost always winning these 2v2s. And the amount of damage on your Q for the first enemy hit is just nuts.
Oh my god!
And don't even get me started on Caitlyn's late game damage. I always thought that she fell off late game, but she's actually so strong. She just becomes more of a burst champion than a traditional AD carry, using her traps and headshots on important targets. And you know what? Sometimes it's not even me who plays super well. I gotta give credit where credit's due. My supports were amazing in some of these games.
Holy shit, this Rel's the absolute GOAT!
And by the end of the challenge, I felt like I was playing out of my freaking mind in these last couple of games. I mean, sure, I wasn't playing perfectly, but I was so much better than at the start. And my goodness, you just become this long-range assassin once you get a few items, and I will honestly never stop loving this. And to round out the final game, I have a few things to say. 1. Place your traps whenever you can. Even if they aren't perfect, your opponent might accidentally step on them, and it's just good to get in the habit of placing traps. 2. Don't be afraid to fight early, just limit test. You're not gonna win every fight, but you have the longest base range of any AD carry and amazing base damage, so just fight. And 3, late game, you become a burst champion, so stack up headshots when you can and try to hit squishy targets with those headshots. Sometimes it's better to wait and not hit a tank to make sure you can get a headshot on a squishy target. And yeah, if you want to learn AD carry, Caitlyn is an amazing champ to do it. She's good early game, has a solid late game, you can do a lot of limit testing, and most importantly, she was super fun.